Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, welcome to the show. This is the Millennial Millionaire Podcast, and I am your host, Stephen Cohen. This podcast is focused on bringing some of the wisest minds from across the globe to discuss concepts, strategies, and ideals that will lead them to be top performers in their respective industries and their lives. This show is for the millennials and millennials at heart to transcend their mindset, their health, and their income to the next level. We are so excited to have you on this journey with us. Welcome to the show. Yo, welcome back to the show, Millennial Millionaires. Today we have another legit dope guest. We have Mr. Andrew Imbesi. Andrew is a digital entrepreneur. He is called the Funding King. He has $20 million in revenue over his last couple of years in business. He's helped fund over $110 million worth of 0% credit funding, and just super excited to have you on the show and pick your brain, dude. Thanks for coming.
Hey, I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, dude. So you're doing, so you're from Miami.
Yes.
Not from Miami, from New Jersey. Flew in today from Miami or yesterday. You just got done with Brad Lee. How was that, dude?
Yeah, Brad, man, he is a freaking awesome guy.
Studio sick.
Knows a lot about personal branding. You know, he obviously, a lot of people may know him for his podcast or Lightspeed VT. He's got a lot of other companies, but he's really smart when it comes to personal branding. Has helped people like Grant and Andy Elliott just really grow their personal brands. So yeah, he was dropping some bombs with me behind the scenes.
Yeah, dude. He's a G.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, I mean, probably similar to you living in Miami. I don't know the reason you moved, but I love living in Vegas. Taxes. Same.
I was living in San Diego for like 2 years.
Oh.
And I was like, I started making a lot of money. Like when you're making like $250,000 a year, right? And you're paying tax on that, it's not like terrible. But when you start making millions of dollars a year and you're being told you're going to have to pay 17% to California, there's zero chance I'm sticking around, even though San Diego is one of my favorite places in America. Yeah.
It's not worth the weather, dude.
It's just not worth those taxes. That weather's good, but yeah, it's just not worth those taxes.
Yeah, no, I love Vegas as well. It's probably similar to Miami, right? You guys have the ocean. You know, we have the Strip, I guess, is an ocean.
The mountains.
And the mountains.
The mountains are beautiful.
You know, Nevada has no state tax as well. So,
yeah,
you know, it's a good place to network and, you know, very similar, just the other side of the country. But, dude, for those that don't know you, I know you're crushing it, blowing up online, credit stacking, all the things. We'll get into that. But give the listeners a little bit of background about who you are.
Yeah. So, Andrew Imbesi, and, you know, born and raised in New Jersey. That's really where I kickstarted my entrepreneurial career. I went to college, you know, like simple, like, you know, like maybe like that all too regular like story. And after college, it was post-COVID, and, you know, I was like looking for things to do. I didn't want to work corporate America. I had an experience with corporate America. I wasn't like entirely interested in it. I wasn't really happy with it. Probably like a lot of the millennials who want to be millionaires listening into this podcast. And yeah, and so I was, you know, just looking for things to do. I was doing Amazon warehouse. I was doing DoorDash. I was making some decent money, but not the money that I wanted to be making. And I knew it wasn't a long-term thing. So I knew I had to figure out something. I knew I had to figure out a business to start so I could, you know, be in control of my finances, be in control of my life. And so I started getting the ads for e-com courses, social media marketing agency courses. Those are typically those intro business courses people are going to see when they first get started, or maybe like get into solar or do whatever it may be. So, you know, I obviously didn't know what I was doing. So I started buying a bunch of courses, and I started learning a lot, but I learned very quickly the first valuable lesson. If I really want to be successful at this, I got to find a mentor. I got to find someone to work one-on-one with who can teach me the skill, who could really like show me how to do whatever it is I want to do and be successful at it. So this is when I start learning about credit, right? And you introed with my credit experience. And there was a mentorship I wanted to buy, but at the time I had $500, maybe $1,000 to my name. And
this was 2020?
This was 2020. Yeah. So 2020, I had, you know, like $500 to my name by the time I was done buying all these courses. And there was someone I wanted to work with. I was very confident. I knew it would work out. If I got to work one this person, he would teach me what I need to know, and I would get a really great experience from it. I was like, this has got to be it. But now I had to start paying money that I didn't have. So I started getting 0% credit cards to invest in this opportunity that I knew had a lot of potential for me. So I did that and it paid off. I started actually doing well in sales. That was the skill I paid to learn. If you want to do anything in business, you got to be really great at communication, whether it's communication through sales, communication through marketing. I was actually just talking about this with Brad. He was like, what's more important, sales or marketing? It's marketing, but you need the sales and communication skills to be successful with marketing. But marketing could be so much more valuable. And, did sales for about a year. I was helping people get credit to invest into mentorships during that time. And then I realized that there's opportunity to do a credit stacking business. So I thought that was a really cool idea. It was doing something that I liked. I liked doing this credit stuff. I thought it was very helpful. I thought I was changing lives. And I still am to this day, obviously. Still might not be the best word. But yeah, it was something that I saw as an opportunity for me to do something that I was happy doing. And that was really the main motivation to starting it, was really just, hey, like, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to make more money. And that was really like some of the main reasons why I got into it. And I knew I could help people with it. So that's what kickstarted my journey in credit stacking. And eventually I got to another roadblock. I was making maybe like 10, 20K a month in profit. I was doing around like 50, 70,000 in revenue, but I realized that others around me were not achieving their financial goals. And although I was, comfortable, it wasn't really that satisfying when you don't see other people around you having that same opportunity to win. So that's why I decided I wanted to expand, because there's more than 20 to 30 clients every month who need credit stacking. There's plenty of people looking for a job that they could be happy with. There's more I could be doing for my family. There's just more I could be doing to impact other people around me. And also there was another thing that happened. I had like a kidney stone, and I was like, oh crap.
Those aren't fun.
Yeah, those aren't fun. If I can't work, what am I going to do? So I need other people to do some work so that way I could still make money without, like having something like that. What happens if I get sick or something? So then I decided to expand, and we were kind of figuring out the hiring thing for a few months before that. But then I think when I made that decision, like within 6 months, we went from doing 50, 70K a month in revenue to $1 million a month in revenue. So it like went from 20 to 30 clients to 200 clients a month. So it's huge scale, huge expansion very quickly.
Dude, I love it.
That's how we're here.
That's why we're here, baby. So
Yeah.
a lot to unpack there. I definitely want to learn more about credit stacking and that whole game. Me being an entrepreneur myself, I've always understood the value of credit and leveraging credit cards and financing, but obviously not to the expert level that you're doing. But before we hop in there, what do you think it was that really attracted you into entrepreneurship? You said that you always kind of had this desire for money and to create success, and you knew that the way to do that was either create a business, whether it was sales, but was it something that intrinsically you knew that kind of conforming to what everyone else is doing wasn't going to work, or was it from your parents, or what was that point where it's like, this is what I want, this is how I know I'm going to get there, and I'm going to do whatever I need to in order to finally accomplish it?
Yeah, good question. I think I've always had like an entrepreneurial spirit. Just from like the day I could remember, I always tried to step up into more of that leadership position, have that kind of control. Like even in baseball, I was the pitcher, right? So, when I would run track and field, I would be the team captain. Like very small stuff like that. And then eventually I was very interested in music production. That was something that I was like super interested in, dance music production. And, that was always my dream in life, was to be a music producer and DJ. And so I think
Too late, dude.
it's not too late. I think the thing I was missing though was the sales and marketing. I didn't know, no one ever told me to learn sales and marketing if I want to be successful at any of those things. So I think it started from like a very young age that I had like interest in being like my own boss. And it wasn't always for like the money, but it was more just for like, me getting to do what I want to do whenever I want to do. It wasn't really like the money is great, like now it's even better. Sure, it's better to have money than not to have money, right? But I think what really got me like motivated was just like I just wanted to live life on my own terms, and I didn't want to. There was a corporate America experience I wasn't really happy with, and I didn't really want to go back to that. I did an internship, and I just couldn't see myself working in like a very boring, non-cultural kind of deal. Like my idea of collaboration has always been like very positive, very fun, and I didn't ever understand that could exist in a company until I started my own and saw other people's companies who were doing similar things to what I was doing, where they would have inside jokes at the office, or they would they click, they had a connection, they would have fun together, and there were fun jobs. I didn't realize that was actually like a reality.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. My first job, 16 years old, hungry, wanting to make money, right? Buy my own car. Was at a courtesy clerk at a Smith's, which is a Kroger grocery store out here. And I remember I worked there for 2 years, and it was literally like painfully awful.
Yeah.
Like waking up every single day. And from a young age, I'm like, is this what life is? Is this what growing up is? Is this is what your parents told you? Oh, like, don't rush to be an adult. Like, I thought that was my paradigm. And then thankfully, because I had that experience, it made me push really hard to never have to go conform to a job that I wasn't passionate about ever again. So my question for you is, do you think that entrepreneur spirit is something that you're born with intrinsically, or do you think it's based on your early childhood experiences that pushes you away from that to want more out of life?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I find it to be a combination of both, maybe. Like, I think you could be born with it, I guess, but it's not really like it's really those experiences that you have in life that are going to make you want to do it. And I think that the thing that separates people who do go and do it versus those that don't are just really those who really wants it more and who's really willing to take the risk to do it.
Bars, dude. I'm with you.
Yeah. I think when you were bringing up the stuff, I think a lot of people probably, it seems like your audience is a younger audience, right? Like much younger audience.
Millennials. Yeah.
I think a lot of people, you made me think of a really valuable point. I think a lot of people out there don't think that there's opportunity to have fun jobs. I know when I was growing up, I would think like, what am I going to do? Like, it seems like being a DJ or being a music producer would be like the only fun thing I can do.
Yeah.
And I didn't know about sales or marketing or how fun that stuff could actually be. So, yeah, I feel like I grew up just not knowing there was fun things out there,
Do you think that's a cultural thing? Why do you think that is? Because I agree with you, right? I think maybe our parents, the baby boomers, the generation before us, it was a different time, obviously. They didn't have social media. They didn't have as much opportunity, but there were still ways to go create a good living and enjoy your life. But I feel like, at least for the majority of the people that I knew growing up, and even today, like when you relay a job, it's something that's negative and something that you have to do, and you don't really find fulfillment in it. It's more just taking care of your family, go to work, put your head down for 40 hours a week, and then hopefully retire one day. You think that's a cultural thing, or where's that paradigm come from?
I think it comes from, people don't understand what they should admire about that position, right? Like if I think back about my dad, right? Like maybe back then I would have thought being a recruiter was a boring position, but now that I have a business, I have so much that I could admire about what he does, because he's helping people create opportunities in their life. And that's what you could really admire about that. If you could wake up and have that like enthusiasm about what you do, like that's really like what he goes to work and does every day. And so like, I think a lot of people don't make that connection, and they complain about work because they can't find anything they admire about what they do. I also think that the information or the knowledge or the resources to go build a business, it's there, but not enough people like understand or know the first word like they have to learn to get there, right? Like whenever someone would tell me like sales, I would used to think that was very icky and gross.
Car salesman.
Yeah, but no one ever made the connection. If you want to run a business and sell products or sell services, or if you want to work in any company and make a lot of money, you got to learn sales. I think if someone told me that, I would have been a lot more interested in it a lot faster. Like, did you know that if you learned sales, you would be better at communication with almost any person you ever meet? Like, I feel like I never got that sentence put in front of my face. And so I never really learned to like figure that out for myself until I finally had that presented to me. And I was like, oh, wow, this is actually a huge opportunity for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I feel like, I don't know about you, but growing up, my parents never really made much money. My grandparents, it was never really a affluent environment. So
Yeah.
a lot of the information that got trickled down were more tied to the 97% of people just working to work, living to live, without really that extended purpose where maybe the 3% of people knew some of that information. So I think one of the coolest things about our generation in the 21st century is the information age. And that's another reason, for my viewers and really anyone that I come in contact with, whether it's my sales team, it's like there's really no excuse not to go out there and go create something that you find deep meaning in, or to create a lifestyle where you don't need a vacation from, because all the information's there. You don't have to depend on your immediate circle, immediate family to teach you what you need to know about life, business, success, because the information's there if you want the desire to go out there and do it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, dude. So let's definitely talk about credit stacking because it's something I'm super interested in. So what is credit stacking? How can the average person utilize it? And what do people need to know about it?
Yeah. So answer that first question. What is credit stacking? So it's basically getting approved for multiple credit cards in a short period of time that total up to a large sum that can be used for whatever you'd like. So I've had people use this from businesses to weddings to like it can be used for so many different reasons, and that's really what credit stacking is. So the way that we would like to talk about it, right? The way I like to talk about it is doing credit stacking combined with 0% interest funding, which 0% interest funding is taking advantage of a promotional offer found on credit cards where you can make a purchase for, let's say, like $10,000. And as long as you make the minimum payment, which is usually 1% to 2% of the balance that you charge, you don't have to pay any interest through that promotional period. Now you'll want to make larger chunks toward that balance at some point, so you don't have to pay any interest. But credit stacking with 0% interest funding creates a huge opportunity for people to take advantage of business opportunities, mentorships, advertising spend, recruiting services, like really anything, inventory for their business. It could be used for a lot. I think it's best used for advertising or mentorships. It's just where I've had the most success with it. Investing $10,000 to learn how to make $100,000 per year in sales. Like, it's really the best use in my opinion because you get a quick return on investment. But that's what it would be for the viewer curious.
Okay. Got some questions for you because I'm Jewish naturally. So like I always had a deep fascination with like leverage and credit and financing. And
Yeah.
the more I get into entrepreneurship, the more I realize it really is a game of leverage and percentile, right? That's really the game that you're played. When you get into the investment standpoint, it's literally just a game of percentages. Like, how do I leverage this 4% loan over here to get 7% on my money and then take the delta of 3%? And you do that over a long enough period of time. So I love this stuff. When it comes to credit card stacking, if you apply for multiple credit cards at the same time, is it one inquiry or are you going to get dinged for every single credit card, or is there a system there that you do that?
Yeah, good question. So it's one inquiry per bank. So and banks have different rules, but one inquiry per bank, and they usually only pick one bureau. So let's just say, for example, like American Express, for example, will pull your Experian, but then you go to some different bank, maybe like, I don't know, like First Citizens, and they'll pull Equifax. So like each bank will pull usually one credit bureau per application.
Got it. So the goal would be, or you train your students to go get 3 Chase credit cards at the same time because you know it's going to be one inquiry versus an Amex, a Chase, and a Capital because it's going to hit your credit 3 different times?
Correct. Yeah. So some banks will let you get 1 card, some will let you get 2. Hardly many will really give you 3 unless it's American Express. American Express will do 2 traditional lending cards and then as many charge cards as you want. So American Express is the most friendly when it comes to like multiple cards in the same day. The rest of them are usually like 1 or 2, but we'll usually go to maybe 6 to 12 different banks, and it evens out with the inquiries that are getting pulled. Maybe 2 or 3 of them are from Experian, 2 or 3 of them are from TransUnion, 2 or 3 are from Equifax, and so altogether it creates 6 to 12 different banks that we go to. And maybe with the first bank we get 2 cards, maybe with the second bank we get 1, and it just depends. And where we go depends ultimately on the person's credit score and some other deciding factors. But yeah, that's how we would go about approaching credit stacking for someone.
Got it. No, I love it. I mean, I get the American Express and Chase promotional all the time, 12 months, 18 months.
Yeah.
And it's always very tempting. I just don't really know what I would do with it, but I guess that's where you come in. So for your students.
Well, there's also, you could always just have it there. It's like good to have, right? Like in case you need it. So there's a ton of different ways that it can be used, right? Like it just depends, right? Like what's in front of you and what do you feel confident investing in, whether that be a business or an investment.
Yeah, and the idea would be something that's appreciating, right? Like I imagine you wouldn't tell your students to go buy a bunch of furniture or a bunch of liabilities on it because then when you have to pay, once the interest's over, if you haven't created some type of ROI on that, then you're not going to pay it off and you're going to kind of be stuck in the credit card arbitrage.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. I mean, we're using it for businesses, investments, like different things that are going to make you money is the idea.
It makes sense. What advice would you have? So say I'm sitting here, maybe I'm stuck at a job that I'm not super passionate about, but I have bills, I have things that I need to do, and I'm making enough money just to get by and just to support my family. But I'm hearing this podcast right now. I follow you, Andrew, and I'm looking to go start this new business, or I'm looking to go put some money into this new investment to try and get it going. But maybe their credit isn't to the point where it needs to be to get enough of an approval to go execute on that business. What advice would you give them to build their credit?
Yeah, good question. So there's obviously a lot of scenarios that could come into mind. If it's like credit repair related stuff, I don't do credit repair. I just refer people to credit repair. So that's like late payments, derogatory marks. But if there's a couple of scenarios where there's some pretty quick fixes. Maybe someone has baby credit. They're very new to credit. I like to tell those people actually to try and get at least 2 to 4 credit cards to start building your credit age very early on. Additionally to that, I try to get the soft pull credit limit increase cards such as Discover, the Apple card, Bank of America, does soft pull credit limit increases, right? Because these are going to be cards that you use early on and you could request credit limit increases and they're going to like be a heavy weight to your credit age. So just like a small tip for those people. But for those maybe who have credit card debt and they have to pay down their credit card debt first before they can, have a 700 plus score, there's some ways where we help those people. We introduce them to a private lender so they could pay down their credit very quickly and then go and apply for funding using our strategies.
Yeah. What is the ideal amount of credit cards you think a person should have?
I like that question because I think a lot of people, I was actually just talking to one of my friends on the phone the other night. He only had 1 credit card and he was trying to get more because he had a purchase he wanted to make, like a $10,000 purchase. And he was like, oh man, getting credit could be tough. And so that's the problem. You only had 1 credit card. So a lot of people don't know this, but the best ranking that you could have for total accounts on your FICO score is having more than 21 accounts. So it doesn't matter whether those are credit cards, loans, mortgages, whatever it may be. You just want to have at least 21 accounts. That's the highest ranking on your score. So So I went from having like one credit card like 4 years ago to now I have, what is it, maybe like 30 something credit cards, like personal and business. And I mean, I have insane credit limits. I'll never have a problem opening up a loan or a credit card because I just have incredible credit limits. I only started with a $1,700 card. Now I have access to like $1 million of credit if I needed access to $1 million of credit.
Now, are you using actively all of those credit cards? Are you keeping a little bit of a balance? Because correct me if I'm wrong, if you don't have a certain amount of balance or if you carry a $0 balance long enough, won't they close the account and that hurt your credit?
Correct. Exactly. So I'll rotate through the cards. I'll use some, maybe like once every couple of months just to keep them open. I really use probably about like 10 consistently. And I use these 10 different ones maybe for different cashback benefits, right? Like there's this one business credit card I use. I get 2.5% cash back on my purchases above $5,000. That card is sweet. And then maybe if I'm going to go get gas, I'll use a different card that gives me more cash back when I pay for gas. So I start rotating through the cards, but occasionally to keep an account open, I'll just go to like a convenience store or something and buy something with the card.
Got it. Because you see on TikTok all the time, right? Travel for free, leverage your credit card points, which is something I love to do as well. For the longest time, I was taught that credit cards are bad and they're evil and poor people have credit cards. And then as you kind of learn more about life and business, you're like, oh man, credit cards are your best friends. They're safer than debit cards.
Yeah.
You're able to leverage them for points and they help build your credit. As long as you're using them responsibly and not paying interest on them and using strategies like you talk about. So
Yeah.
Are you kind of the guy that is utilizing a lot of the strategies for points and transfers, or are you more just for the max amount of limit to leverage for 0% to go use that as a vehicle to go get a better thing?
Now, I find myself talking mostly about 0%, but there are some instances where I'm working with people and they want to learn more about cashback, points, how it makes sense for them. And really for those people, so if they want to get the best bang for their buck there, they have to be spending a lot of money. Right? Like if they want to get a lot of points and travel for free, you got to be spending a lot of money to be getting all those points. I've had millions of Amex points and I go through them all the time because I use them, but they're very easy to accumulate when you know the offer that the card has and where to appropriately spend money on the card.
Makes sense. Break down business credit and personal credit. I know it's probably a question you get asked a lot.
Sure.
Myself, I have a decent amount of personal credit. I haven't really explored business credit as much as I probably should. What are the differences? What's the value of having both? And what do people need to know?
Probably the most valuable difference between personal and business credit for, business owners is that with your personal credit cards, whenever you max out a card, it reports to your personal credit report. But with a business credit card, when you max out a business credit card, as long as it's not a Discover card, Capital One card, or TD Bank card, because those three banks do report to your personal credit report, all these other business credit cards will not report your maxed out cards to your personal credit score, which is pretty awesome because you could preserve your personal credit and use your business credit as much as you want without having to hurt your personal credit score.
Is there a ratio that you think you would recommend, or is it really just whatever you feel comfortable with, right? Because in the 1099 world and self-employed world, you start kind of getting a little bit murky of what's like a business write-off, what's like a personal write-off. Like for me, and I think this is good feedback for all the viewers listening, I have 4 different credit cards. I have 2 for business. I put all my business expenses on, and then 2 for personal. So at the end of the year, I can just give it to my accountant, all my business, go through the transactions, etc. Is there a strategy there on the? They're not actual business credit cards. They're just cards that are separated for business.
Yeah. I think, as many as you need is a really good rule of thumb, in my opinion. Like, as many credit cards as you need. Because at a certain point, like if you really want to get nerdy about it and you want to save a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 a year, depending on how much money you spend on your cards, you could start, looking at different cashback benefits, point benefits. And the way you do that successfully is just consider the transactions you spend the most money on, the categories you spend the most money on, and get cards that reward your spend in those categories.
That makes sense. When it comes to your clients and credit stacking, what is maybe a story or a scenario that one of your clients used to like create a big win with this strategy?
Ooh, yeah, totally. One of the first stories that comes to mind is when I helped someone like fund a wedding, but that's not like a business win, but that one's a really, really, really solid one.
Elaborate. Talk me through that.
Yeah, that was like one of my first wins. I think that gave me like a lot of fulfillment when like I was first starting out. It gave me a lot of fulfillment because it really validated the work I was doing. There was someone who literally needed 30 grand to like invest into their wedding within 3 weeks or it wouldn't happen. So yeah, I was able to basically save the wedding because if they didn't have that funding, then the wedding probably would have been like probably pretty bad.
Yeah.
I don't know where it would have happened, but it wouldn't have been as beautiful as it probably was.
It would have been 10 minutes from here in Fremont, Las Vegas, dude.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
When it comes to that, now for this credit stacking, just so I can wrap my head around it and the people listening, now it's not like you're able to withdraw $30,000 cash from the credit card. You're just able to use the expenses that you need, whether it's for that business or for this wedding example, they were able to pay for the flowers and stuff on credit and have a long enough time, 18 months, 12 months, 16 months to pay it off without accruing any interest. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. There are ways to pull cash from the credit too if you need cash. Like if you wanted to treat it as a line of credit or a loan or something like that, you could use a liquidation service. You could get your cards and then run the card through someone else's payment processor. They could wire you back the money. And you usually do this with a law firm, like a liquidation service, because that's the service you're paying for. That's a way to get cash from these credit cards. So you could, fund things like real estate with cash.
I love it, dude. I love it. Is there a best 0% credit card that you would recommend, or does it not really matter if, depending, as long as the terms are right, once it's over, it would just turn into another credit card at the end of the day?
Yeah, maybe like American Express is pretty good. Chase is pretty good. I talk about Chase in one of my ads. Like they'll give you up to $150,000 without tax returns or bank statements, because the way it works is like that's their exposure limit. Like they'll expose up to $150,000 without requiring tax returns or bank statements from you. So that's pretty cool. But, it depends on what you need to use the 0% for, how long you need to carry a balance. Maybe you're looking at an 18-month 0% card to carry a balance on. But other than that, like those are two good banks where you can get high limit and build really good relationships with those banks.
Love it, dude. Andrew, what is your philosophy when it comes to saving money?
I think you just need to be reinvesting constantly. It's good to have some money for like reserves for your team, for payroll, for ads, for big projects, things like that. But beyond that, you should be investing your money into whether it be real estate or back into more knowledge, marketing. Just be reinvesting the money that you make to improve your skills or create more income.
I love it, dude. And that's kind of what you did, right? You learned a skill with the credit stacking that you did it for you. You created a testimony, and then you were able to go create a platform to then go help assist other people. I find it fascinating because I think in today's 21st century, the system for a lot of people are kind of like, go do, go teach, go create a system that then teaches people to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like a lot of the fitness coaches, a lot of the mentors and gurus out there. For those that are listening, how did your journey go going from being the student to the teacher to then teaching other teachers how to create students?
Yeah, I like that because I think a lot of people may overlook this sometimes. Maybe you're a part of a group right now where you're one of 100 or one of 1,000, and you're looking at a lot of these testimonials that you see, and you're thinking to yourself, what is it that they're doing that I'm not doing to be successful? And I totally noticed this in the first few courses that I purchased. Was there were these testimonials, and I was not there yet, but I wanted to know what they were going to be doing to get there. And I think anyone could become that teacher figure. Anyone could sell a service or a product. Even all they really need is just to know a little bit more than the person that they're working with, because to that other person who's buying it, it's going to be valuable for them, like to learn what they don't know. So I think the difference though between like those people that you see in those groups, like if you're one of 1,000 or one of 10,000, like the difference between you and that testimonial is going to be getting your hands on the right knowledge and applying it and really working hard and being persistent. So I think that's really what could take someone from a student to a teacher of teachers, is their ability to apply the knowledge that they learn and work harder than everyone else.
Yeah. I was having a conversation with one of our top sales guys a couple weeks ago, and I was like, dude, what's the secret sauce? Like, not the hard work, not the consistency. Like, give me something new so we can, create this context for these training that we're about to do. And he's like, dude, you know what it is? It's speed of implementation.
Ooh, yeah.
It's learning.
Fast duplication,
it's learning a concept maybe from a course like yours. It's taking a YouTube video. It's taking something that your mentor said and implementing it fast. Most people will hear good information. They'll listen to a podcast like this. They'll listen to a podcast like Bradley or go to a course like yours, and they'll dwell on the information and they won't actually execute and act on it. What do you find is the common theme of your students who take your knowledge, take the value that you're adding from your system and courses, and actually go through big things with them? Maybe they go start that business. Maybe they go create that investment, versus the people that sign up and they don't really see the value because they're not actually willing to go meet you halfway.
Yeah, that's a good question. That kind of comes back to the one that you asked a couple questions ago, was like, I think the big difference between the students that I see are the most successful versus those that are not is, like, number one, like, funding is pretty simple. Like, if you have this credit score, you get this much funding. It's very difficult to mess up someone's results when it comes to getting them funding. But I think where most people get concerned is, how can I be successful with funding? How can I succeed with it? So that's oftentimes what I find myself helping people with once they get funding, is really helping them learn the rules of the game from my own experiences and my own observations. And like, I'm such a huge believer in mentorship, working one-on-one with people who are in the position that you want to be in, and also hard work. Like, hard work beats talent every day. I even get it on my team. Sometimes we'll hire someone who thinks they're very talented, and they'll justify the fact that they're so talented with, they don't have to work as hard as other people on the team. And so I think that becomes a problem. You find people who want things to just be given to you versus those who are willing to work hard to get it. And anyone who's really willing to work hard enough to get it and not give up will eventually run into the right information or the right mentor, and they're going to be able to figure it out for themselves and be able to find some kind of success formula that works for them.
Yeah, no, I love that, dude. And I agree. I feel like that's your niche, right? Like you said, the credit stacking there's a formula to it. There's a science to it. If you do this with this credit score, you apply at this bank, you'll get X, Y, and Z. It's pretty foolproof. I think where the magic lies is, okay, I have this capital. Now, what do I do with it? How do I go create it? How do I go grow with it? So at the end of this 18, 16, 12-month period, I'm in a better spot. I can now go create some type of vertical move in order to go be successful in whatever area they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and I'm happy that you bring that up, because this is definitely a question I get from my students a lot of time. It's like, I could tell people to go do any business model. I could talk about different students, different success stories, but the thing that separates those who are successful from those who are not really comes down to work ethic, choice. you want to pick things that are going to give you a return on investment before the end of the introductory period. And there are so many business models where people can get that, whether it be like I think Alex Hermosi the other day, he posted on his Instagram a list of like hundreds of different industries that people could become a millionaire in. And that's the thing. It's like I get a lot of people who are like, well, how do I know if making money is going to work? And I think they're looking in the wrong areas. It's hard for me to, like I could talk about the potential of what people can do with the money, no matter whether it's like an actual person, actual testimonial versus like an industry. But I think people need to focus on themselves and what could they be doing? What industries could they be taking advantage of to be successful? Like for you, you pursued solar, right? So like anyone else could pursue solar too. They just need the right knowledge. They need to find a mentor. They need to be willing to work hard. And if you're learning from someone who has the success that you want, and you're really serious about learning everything it is that you need to know, why can't that be you?
100%. And, I know your whole business is funding, but there's so many opportunities out there that you don't even need capital. You just need your own time, energy, and commitment to go do it. Obviously, capital always helps. And I feel like
capital
a lot of
helps
time,
you buy the mentorships.
Yes. It also allows you to create the space for you to take that leap of faith. Like I know so many people out there who would love to go start a new business. They would love to go jump into this new opportunity. They'd love to move to that new state in order to give them that new chance at whatever they're trying to accomplish. But they can't go a month, 2 months, 3 months without their primary income for their job. So they can't afford the learning curve. Where with something like this, getting access to capital where, I don't know if you can pay a mortgage or rent.
That literally happened to me. Yeah. Like I had like a couple of months where I had to, start making some revenue or start making some profit, but I was using my credit to pay my bills and I was holding on to cash to make those minimum payments because I knew at a certain point the tables were going to turn and I was going to be making way more money to make bigger chunks at these credit card payments and then I'd be able to pay it down. Because that was what I was investing in, was to take my income from $40,000 a year to $100,000 a year, from $100,000 a year to, I don't know, right, like $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, and beyond. After you hit $1 million, like I think maybe like you'll use 0% interest funding, but maybe not as much. Once you get to like 10 million, you're really not using it that much anymore.
Yeah. What's your investment thesis, dude? So obviously you help support people from, someone who's brand new into business to entrepreneurs to create a strategy in order to go create some type of improvement in their life. And you give them the guidance and the mentorship on how to work their business. Do you have a investment thesis when it comes to leveraging income and the money that you're currently making for your business?
Yeah, right now I'm really just focused on reinvesting into myself and my company. I haven't really dabbled a lot into real estate or other avenues just quite yet. I've really been fortunate to learn like business, sales, marketing. I think those are super valuable skills. I'm really doubling down on my brand and promoting myself and my company because I find that just to be really where I see the most fulfillment and I also see obviously great returns there. But I think that's really the best use of my time. Like I'm gonna have, one of my favorite quotes is like, the moment you lost everything was the moment you decide you couldn't create it again. And so like I'm very confident that I can create anything again. And like I'm not like, all too like, oh, I need to get into real estate tomorrow. Like, sure, I want to get into real estate like right away. But I think it's more important right now to focus where, I have this opportunity to learn. Like, I'm still learning. I have an 8-figure business, but I still, to this day, I never sit down and say I know everything, because the moment you think that you know everything is the moment you stop learning. So I'm still a student of the game. I'm still learning, and I really want to focus on being the best I can be before really trying to create duplicates of something that I'm still trying to figure out, you know?
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think with all the content out there in social media, everyone's trying to invest as fast as possible.
And diversify before they get good at one thing.
Exactly, which necessarily isn't a bad thing to have that type of urgency, but at the same time, it's like an extra $600 a month from a rental property isn't going to change your life. You're almost kind of better off dumping that extra $60,000 that you'd spend on that property to create that $600 cash flow into your business or into your brand or into a new skill set that will get you a 5, 6, 7, 10x multiple on that investment versus a property that's going to appreciate 5% over the next 10 years.
Yeah, it's very interesting. A lot of those people, and yeah, that's the thing. A lot of those people who like are diversifying early are those people who are afraid they won't be able to create success again. They're trying to park the money that they're making right now because they're afraid in the future they're not going to be able to replicate their successful business. I know if 0% were to like completely fade away, I'd be able to pivot into anything I want. And I know I'd be able to figure out how to be successful with it. And I don't even think it would take me that much time to really get great at it because number one, the most important thing is I totally have the work ethic. If I have to put my head down and work 16, 20 hours a day, I've done it before, I'll do it again. I know what it's like to start a business from scratch because I've done it, before successfully. And I'm not afraid of having to create it all again if I have to. And that's, I think, what people's mindset really needs to be going into it. Not just like, oh, as soon as I start making money, I'm going to start moving in other places. It's like, sure, like, I guess you could start creating some additional income streams for yourself, but I think there's a time and place to do that. And I think right now, like, as smart as I am in business, because I feel like I get that a lot sometimes. I really don't think I know that much about it. I was like on a podcast on Wednesday night and I was just explaining a lot of the things I know. And I have problems in my business. I'll just be honest. There's some things that I'm still working on solving, but I was like breaking down my knowledge to someone else and they were like, dude, you know so much about business. And you would think that I could be one of those people that just start handing things off and just focusing on something else. But I really want to be the best at it. Like if I'm going to get into something, I want to be the best at it.
Yeah, no, I love what you said there. I think that's the first time I ever heard it. Too many people are too anxious to start diversifying because they're worried that if their current business ends up going belly under, they wouldn't be able to recreate that success again. So they're hedging their bet. That's so good, dude.
It's true. There's like a difference between the people who do early versus ones who do it late. Like the people who do it late, like it's totally fine. Like you've mastered one thing, you've gotten into a new thing. Like that's the time to do it. And there's something I like. It's like a power change. It's like once you've gone into affluence and you've like really went up stat for an extended period of time. Maybe this is a few weeks, maybe this is a few months. And then after that few months, you stabilize in a very high range. That would be the opportunity to diversify into something else. But just because you have one great week and then the next week you're like, nah, like, you don't just start diversifying then. Like you really want to take things into a position where you could walk away from them and start focusing on other things, because then you start adding more to your plate and you've left unsolved problems in the first place you walked away from. And now you have that same problem in two places, and now it's even harder to solve.
Yeah, it's the business owner versus the business operator, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're a business operator, you have to be in the business or else it doesn't run. It's Joe's Pizza down the street that Joe's the one making the sauce, stirring the dough, doing all the things, versus the business owner that has multiple Joes running multiple businesses and he doesn't have to be there in order to operate it.
Yeah. And I feel like that's where I'm at right now. It's like I'm a business operator, although like I'm totally business owner right now. Like today, I was total business owner. Like I woke up, did some team meetings, sure. But then I walked to the Apple store from the Cosmo to Caesars. I mean, I spent 2 hours doing that. Bought this shirt from Boss. I had a shirt already that I was gonna wear, but like I was at the Apple store and Boss is right next to it. I'm like, I'm totally stopping at Boss. This is my day, and then I go do podcasts with Brad. Now I'm with you, and it's like, what have I really done? In terms of like coaching people on my team today. So like today is like a business owner kind of day, where, you know, I get to do publications, promotions, whatever. But there's still days where I have to be an operator, and I really want to learn whatever I can learn in this business, because I know it's going to help me in my next business and my next opportunity. With, you know, the things I'm learning right now are going to be applicable to everything I do thereafter.
No, 100%, man. What has been attracting you to coming online? Obviously, you run a company that is digital, but what is the desire to, you know, create the content, do all the podcasts? You're doing great. I imagine you can build your business before social media, without social media. What's been the desire to really start going hard online?
Yeah. I think after a while, I like kind of realized my own big why, and I've really just realized I want to impact more people's lives. I really like what I do. My team is happy with their jobs. Most people don't like their jobs, but my team is very happy with their jobs. And then besides that, you know, you get to do something really great for clients. I get to do things that are great for my family. And it's all like selfless behavior. Although I get to do things for me, I do a lot for me, but not really as much as like the travel or the like flashy Instagram stuff people see. I think, you know, if you want to, part of the plan, right, is like if I really want to do the right thing for those people around me, then I need to, you know, put myself out there. Like if I want to, you know, help my parents retire or something, if I want to give my brother a job, or if I, you know, whatever it may be, like if I'm not doing everything I could possibly do to help them, including like posting on social media. And look, there's a lot of people maybe who are watching this, like you mentioned 1099, who are, you know, maybe not posting on social media. Like start posting on social media. You're going to start networking with other people. Like I can tell you this, I wouldn't be hanging out with Bradley if I didn't have a small Instagram following. I wouldn't have the opportunity to learn from him for like 2 hours, smoke cigars with him. Like, bro, that was a really cool experience, but I earned it because I was willing to work hard. But I could take what I learned and benefit those people around me who care about me and I care about them. That's why I'm doing it, is to help people around me.
Love it, dude. Since it's fresh off the oven, what was some of the big takeaways from the Bradley encounter? I know it was only a couple hours ago.
Personal branding. Here's a bar. It's not creating content. It's being the content. He's got guys that follow him around with cameras like paparazzi, and they're just catching him being himself throughout the day. You take a look at people like Andy Elliott, right? Where Brad was like, I met Andy when he was at 80,000 followers. Andy's at 2.5 million on Instagram within 2 to 3 years. You know, he's expanded his circle so large. There's a lot of people who know who he is now, and and it's incredible the change for Andy, for especially, right? And I think Grant Cardone does this really well too, is they really are just themselves in their content. They just be themselves. They're not like creating content. They're just being themselves, and it's attracting a huge following.
Document, not create.
Yeah, documenting their journey. People want to see the journey.
100%, dude. As we wrap up, man, you have this, I guess, message, some quote. I'm curious. You said that life's a game. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, it is. It's consisted of freedoms, barriers, and purposes. So, like a game with all freedom would not really be a game, and it would just feel like too easy, and it wouldn't be fun. A game is only fun when there's barriers, you know, but also a game becomes impossible and unwilling to be tolerated when there's only barriers. There's only things standing in your way. So you need that equal balance of freedoms and barriers, along with enough purpose to play the game. So I like that quote a lot. Yeah, I love that. It's fun. Like life's supposed to be fun, and if it's not fun, it's probably because you have too much freedom or too many barriers, and you need that equal balance and enough purpose to make it fun.
That's well said, dude. That's well said. Andrew, one of my last questions for you, dude. I like asking this. If the person you are today, the credit stacking gangster running an 8-figure company, mentoring, managing, and supporting all your customers and clients and employees, could go back in time to the Andrew back in maybe 2018, 2019 that had maybe a couple $100 to his name, what advice would the Andrew today give the old Andrew to help accelerate his success, joy, and fulfillment?
That's a good question. I'm between saying go learn sales or like really not saying anything at all. Because I really like where I've ended up. I almost don't want to even see what it would look like any other way, because I've been able to take incredible people along with me for the ride. I've been able to, create this team I'm very happy with. Things have happened in a certain way where I'm not sure if it would have happened that way if I did it any other way, So I almost don't want to poke the bear,
It's a great answer, dude. Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
Did you buy that watch with 0% funding?
No, this is earned from using 0% interest funding, but that's good. No, I actually set a wire for that one.
Fair, dude.
That's so funny. But yes, 0% interest funding helped me get there. Presidential date, just gold on gold. Brad was looking at this one too.
I got one as well. I got the olive. So
yeah,
we're twinning.
Nice. We are twinning.
Let's go, dude. Andrew, for all the followers who are interested in learning more about 0% funding, want to get connected with you, where can people find you? How do they get plugged into your course? What can they expect?
Yeah. So if you want to work one-on-one with me, and yeah, we do a little bit of course too, but yeah, you could just go Instagram or YouTube at Andrew Imbesi, Imbesi, and there's links in bio as well where you could connect with me and hop on a call with my team. Send me a DM. Love to hear from you, and yeah, that's where people could go find me.
Love it, dude. Andrew, thanks so much for hopping on, dude. It's been fun.
Thanks for having me, Steven.
Appreciate it.